Welcome to 20 Side Adventures. On this video, we're going to be talking about precious materials and making weapons with them, and then tier list all the special materials available so you'll know what you should be building for your characters. With that, let's jump right into it. All right, we're going to jump right into it. Here we are on the precious materials section of Archives of Nethys. You can find this in the core rulebook. But the most important reason why you need to look at special materials is being able to craft higher grade items. And this can be found right here. Low grade items, which are just normal things you buy in the shop, can only contain magic items built up to 8th level and runes to 8th level. So if you want any magic items that are custom made beyond level 8, or if you want to put higher than level 8 runes, you need to either get standard grade, which will get you up to level 15, or high grade equipment to create the most powerful magic items. So we're going to jump into that and look at what these different materials are, what they do for you, and kind of if they're any good or not. So right out the gate, we're going to go with cold iron. This is the first one that comes up. Cold iron is one of the cheapest items you can take to high grade or standard grade. It doesn't have many drawbacks. It does give you the benefit of exploiting vulnerabilities of Fae and demons. So if you are fighting those creatures, this is very important. If you're not fighting those creatures, it's still a good choice just for the economics of it. Next up, you have silver. Same cost as cold iron, is only good against were creatures. It also has some weaknesses in its hardness. This doesn't come into play very often as Pathfinder 2e got rid of Sundering, but there are some high-level monsters that can damage your equipment. So silver, you're paying the same as cold iron, and it is going to break faster when you encounter those creatures. Next up, Sister Stone, also C tier here. Now, Sister Stone is super unique. If you're in a campaign or a setting where you're dealing with a lot of undead, Sister Stone could jump all the way to S grade. It has 2 different colors, and when you have an item of each, they interact with each other. So if you have like a Sister Stone weapon and just an object that you carry that's the opposite type of Sister Stone, you can create a field that when undead walk into it, they become, I believe it's enfeebled. Let's look at that real quick. Let's see, Sister Stone. It is a 15-foot field that is, yes, enfeebled. So that can be really cool. Sister Stone also requires you, and this is kind of why it's in C tier also, if you're going to use it effectively, it gives you reactions when undead do things to other people in your party that have Sister Stone. So you have to invest your whole party into Sister Stone, but if you're fighting the undead and you have a group that is doing that, Sister Stone could be an S tier option, but just for a normal campaign setting, C tier. Abyssium. So this is like uranium. If you want to have radioactive equipment, Abyssium is the way to go. It causes sickness to you and those around you now, like the weapons and the shields get encased in something else, so you're not just radiating that illness. The weapon itself will cause poison damage and inflict other wounds on targets that you hit. The downside is it does reduce the amount of rune slots you can have, so you can have 1 less rune in an Abyssium weapon. The poison can offset that. It's kind of thematic, and if you've got a lot of money to spend, you could get Abyssium ammunition and, become a Thunderbolt firing depleted uranium rounds. All right, next up, Adamantium. This is a classic A tier. When you are striking something with hardness, half of its hardness is reduced, so this really only will come into play if you're trying to break something that is an object, or you're fighting something that has a shield. Your adamantium weapon will cut through that shield much more efficiently. It's kind of that mid-range pricing. It does have more of a benefit than cold iron. Cold iron kind of wins out simply on the cost factor. Darkwood. When before the change, when druids couldn't use metal weapons, Darkwood was your mithril option for your druid characters. If you want to drop the bulk on your bow, if you're an archer, Darkwood's an option, only because it is the only item that will help you with wooden weapons. It gets B tier just simply because you don't have any other choices. Mithril next up, another classic. As far as weapons go, this just reduces your bulk. It's not great. For the same money, adamantium is going to give you a better benefit, and cold iron is going to be cheaper. But if you're low strength and you want to save on some weight, mithril weapon could help, I suppose. Next up, Inubrix. Inubrix weapons are terrible. It is a space metal in Pathfinder's a little more sci-fi flares. It bypasses the defense of other metals. So benefits, they can't shield block it. You get to skip shield block. Downsides, you reduce all damage die by 1 tier. Just not good, in my opinion, as weapons go. The benefits do not outweigh the cost, and it's just too expensive when we're talking about cost in general. There's so many better choices. Next, I have no idea how to pronounce this. Jezit. I don't know if anyone knows in the comments. Please let me know. I put this as S tier. This is by far my favorite for a weapon. When you critical someone that has spellcasting slots, they have to make a DC 30 or a DC 40 if it's high grade will save, or they lose spell slots. So if you're a martial, you have, like, if you're a fighter, high crit, hunting a caster, fantastic. No Qual, also kind of an anti-caster material. Seems like Pathfinder 2e just is not a fan of casters. This one, when you crit, you're going to inflict Stupefied on casters. I suppose that could extend to... Well, let's read. What does that exactly say? So when we're on the No Qual weapon... In addition, no Qual weapons disrupt spellcasters' concentration, causing them to become Stupefied 1. So, in my opinion, anyone with a focus spell, this would apply to. So, you could get a much wider range where the whatever it is, that one only applies to spontaneous and prepared casters, so focuses wouldn't apply. This one, it seems to me, focus spells would still be a candidate for getting that Stupefied 1. It is only for 1 round on a critical, so not as great. It does have the benefit of it does extra damage against summoned creatures, so that's kind of niche, but solidly in the A category. I think it has a little more use than adamantium and cold iron, but it is more expensive, so it really depends on your surrounding on which of those you should be taking. Again, if you're not in a situation where you're dealing with a lot of magic users, cold iron is still just a great choice to get the benefits of the precious material. Next up is Sovereign Steel. I put this in B just because it takes away some of the benefits of No Qual, which is that summoner damage. It gives you, and for that you're trading out, is it's combined with cold iron. So Sovereign Steel is cold iron and No Qual combined. So you get the benefits of cold iron. You get the Stupefied still on crits of No Qual. It's rare. It's harder to find. So it just seems... I don't know. It's not like as an alloy of combining them. I think you lose one of the benefits that No Qual really had, and you pick up being able to hurt Fae and demons. Which, if your setting has that, hurting Fae demons that cast, you might get some good synergy there. But I think as a general option, it's B tier. It's okay. Next up, Keepstone. Keepstone weapons are the worst. Horrendously expensive. Super niche benefit to a couple reactionary abilities. Just are not worth the cost. And then last but not least, Orichalcum. This one gives you an extra rune slot. It's hell of expensive, but if you're spending money on 4 runes, you're going high grade, you're at the end of a campaign, you can get max level runes. That extra rune slot is worth more than any of the other benefits here of other weapons. All right. That is Precious Material Weapons. We're going to do a tier list for armor and shields in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for those. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm right, if you think I'm wrong, if you think there's a benefit or a downside that I missed on these. And as always, I would appreciate a like and a sub. We're almost a year on the channel. We've got a great amount of viewership, but just not a lot of subs, so hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on 20 Side Adventures.